Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm here with Seth Draven, also known as my son.
I'm here with Stevie Cade, also known as my father.
You say that with such angst. My father.
My dad.
All right. Yeah, so welcome to another full Frontal Nerdity podcast, which I think we're going to try to make this a weekly thing. I think the whole concept was like to absorb, the drive-by news that we used to do every week into a podcast where we just discuss it, because I miss drive-by news. I miss that whole concept, but it was an oddity, but it got a lot of traffic to the channel though. That's the thing I miss about it the most, so who knows, maybe it'll rebirth itself, or maybe this will be the new way. Who knows? We don't even know what the fuck we're doing over here, do we? We're just doing things.
Well, it's fun, so.
Yeah. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, then. So we got some things to talk about for sure. Number one, let's talk about Superman and Snyder Cut and all that stuff. Let's get that stuff done and out the way.
All right.
So, possible Superman reboot.
Reboot, yes. It's currently unknown if Henry Cavill will return, but it's not sounding likely. And that's not because it doesn't sound like they're going to recast Clark Kent either. It sounds like they're going to bring in a new Superman, just in general. So...
Like, what do you mean?
Well, there's a ton of headlines and stuff, and even Ray Fisher's talking about how they might, bring in a black Superman. And I think that's a great idea, honestly.
Oh, just bring in a new Superman.
A different Superman. It won't be Clark Kent.
I see what you mean now.
If I had to take a guess, it would be Calvin Ellis, who is from a different Earth, and they're bringing in the multiverse so they could... use that as a way to bring them in.
That's been rumored for a while since Michael B. Jordan brought in a mysterious idea across Warner Brothers' table.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what they're going with, considering he pitched it not super long ago. Puns. I think it's been over a year, but that's not. It hasn't been like 5 years since he pitched this idea, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what they're going with.
Maybe, who knows? Everything, Warner Brothers is an enigma. Everything's a question mark. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
There's so many things that sound great, but there's so many things that just don't either.
Like, I wonder if this news being announced, if they did this on purpose right before the Snyder Cut's released. Like, I feel like they're being petty.
You see, I don't think anything's going to slow down the Snyder Cut, though.
No, I don't think their goal is to slow it down as much as just distract from it,
That will also not work. I hope they realize this. Fans called for this movie for, 2.5 years? Maybe longer, years. 3 years.
Almost 4 years, actually, since Justice League was released, wasn't it?
Okay, so Justice League turned 3 last year. Okay. So it would have been closer to 3 years, that people have been calling for this movie. So, them finally releasing it, they won't be able to distract from it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they won't try.
Right.
That's the key right there. Warner Brothers, I feel, is so petty that they'll try. I remember when the little, the teaser for the release date was announced, and I went on Twitter and everybody shared it except for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Media, AT&T, HBO Max, they all tweeted this out. The only people that didn't tweet it was actual Warner Brothers Studios. Those motherfuckers.
Not surprised. I've only seen them make one tweet about it, and that's just when it was announced. They made a post saying that it's coming.
What, Warner Brothers did, or Warner Media?
Warner Brothers. Because I double-checked that quite a few times. I double-checked Warner Bros. Did make a post about it being announced, but I'm pretty sure that's all they've said about it.
Well, it's happening, so screw you guys. But whatever. If they bring in a new Superman, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with whatever. Like it's a blank canvas, and I'm okay with that. Just let the movies be made the way that either have a plan or don't have a plan. But don't not have a plan and then try to change course in the middle of a fucking film.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You're goose stepping yourself here. Putting yourself in a position to where it looks like you just don't know what you're doing, and I kind of feel like you don't, Warner Brothers. So, but yeah, new Spider-Man, fucking Superman, the other one. God.
See, my ideal Superman movie, if they were making a new one, which they are, I don't know why I said if they were making, anyway, my ideal Superman movie would be bring in Henry Cavill, obviously, bring him back, but also bring in Supergirl, because they just cast her last week
For Flash.
for the Flash movie, and they could have Brainiac be the villain in there.
Brainiac, the villain that's always been put on the back burner when it comes to these films.
For movies, yeah, he's always been kind of on the back burner. So I would like to see them do Superman, Supergirl, Brainiac, maybe bring in Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor if they wanted to.
Oh, you're going to start a fucking war with that suggestion. That's a Snyder cut thing. What are you thinking, Seth? It's obviously terrible. Snyder did it, so it's fucking terrible.
Nah, he's a good Lex Luthor. I will stand by that.
Yes, I agree 100%. He is definitely a fresh of breath air for Lex Luthor's. I'm tired of seeing the same thing regurgitated over and over and over and over again. We get it. You're evil. You're bald. You're bold. Oh, look, here comes this weenie little guy who's smarter than anyone else on the planet. I like that. I like that concept. Although I would still like to see him get into that Zod suit from Man of Steel. And that turn into the Lex Luthor suit.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because if you look at the Zod suit, it actually looks like a lot of the illustrations you see for Lex Luthor's suit. Here, let me look it up.
I'm willing to bet that they would have brought in the Lex suit if they got to finish their Justice League movies.
Maybe,
because we know he's in the Snyder cut now. I never thought about it. I never had it. It was never a first thought to me. Lex Luthor being in that movie. But when the most recent trailer came out, Jesse Eisenberg was credited, and it's not much of a surprise. I think it's cool. He probably won't be in it very much, but.
Now, I don't know what this is. This is a picture of Jesse Eisenberg doll. Might be like a fan-made thing?
Yeah, it says Fancraft. Somebody made an awesome Lex Luthor power suit.
Yeah, that's Zod's suit. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I like that idea.
That makes sense. That's a great, it's a perfect way for him to get that suit and have it be, Kryptonian level protection, from Superman and other alien beings or what have you. But yes, I would love to see Lex Luthor in that suit. But I don't think that will happen in the Snyder cut. Hopefully when they do the Snyderverse on HBO Max, because I feel like that's where Snyder's going to reside.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll say this. Since it was canceled, I think it's more likely now than it has been before.
Yeah.
And, I think if enough people want it, there's maybe a chance that it could happen.
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, HBO Max is obviously Team Snyder.
Oh yeah, AT&T in general is Team Snyder.
Right, and they're just giving the middle finger to Warner Brothers. They launched the investigation. The whole controversy around Ray Fisher and all of his claims and what have you. So they're obviously Team Snyder over here, and that trailer got 18 million views in just a couple of days.
Yes, it's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee that.
Okay, let's not jump the gun, because remember they felt the same way about Batman v Superman. They were confident this is going to be a huge hit, and all the actors were just shocked with how divided that movie was with audiences. But I think people now have a better expectation of what Zack Snyder is providing,
Yeah.
with his content, they know, okay, you're going to get a more brooding, darker world. That's the story, the dramatic story that he wants to tell. But still, people get all pissed off when they announce that it's going to be rated R.
Yeah, I don't really see the problem with that, to be honest.
Well,
Zack
Snyder's just trying to, he's just trying to. What did you say earlier?
Oh yeah, he's just being edgy.
Yeah, it's just being edgy. Like that's whatever. If that was any Marvel movie, fans would like freak out, with excitement.
Logan.
Deadpool 3 being announced that it's going to be rated R.
Yes, Deadpool 3 and,
Which
Logan.
I am surprised about, but I'm not surprised. Like I was very curious of how they were going to handle that because
I think it would be kind of dumb for them to change it a lot because out of the 3 highest grossing R-rated movies, both Deadpool movies are in that.
Yeah.
And I guess I never thought about it. The top 3 highest grossing R-rated movies are all comic book movies. You have Deadpool 2, Deadpool, and Joker.
Is Deadpool 1 and 2 on the top 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
Joker is the highest grossing R-rated movie. In fact, I think it's the only R-rated movie that's ever made $1 billion.
Well, the fact that Joker is rated R and nobody threw a fuss about it. But Snyder. Well,
some people did,
but not for the same reasons they're throwing a fuss about the Snyder Cut. They're throwing a fuss about the Snyder Cut because it's the fucking Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder's vision is always going to be hated because it's cool to hate this fucking thing. I don't understand what the disconnect is. I mean, Man of Steel to me is like one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time. People just dismiss it completely. That's not my Superman. What?
Man of Steel's great. Because I remember the first time I saw Man of Steel was in theaters. And, me being, how old would I have been? Like 8?
Yeah.
I was like, me there at 8 years old, I'm just there to see Superman fight some people. And so when I was 8 years old, I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
And, we got that at the end, obviously. It was long, big battle. But, I didn't watch it again for years because I was just like, I don't remember it being that good. And then it was like, well, I was 8. I'm not 8 anymore. But then, I gave it another shot a few years ago. And, I think Man of Steel and BVS are kind of like on the same level. I like them both.
Yeah.
A lot.
I flip-flop between which is better, BVS or Man of Steel. It depends on which one I'm watching at the time.
Yeah, because when I first rewatched Man of Steel, I was like, this is better than Batman v Superman. Then I was like, is it? It's like, is it better? And then I watched Batman v Superman, and I was like, nah, I like Batman v Superman more. And then I watched Man of Steel again. I was like, nah, Man of Steel's better.
Right.
Yeah.
But Batman v Superman has Batman.
Yeah.
So there's that. But when it comes to, like people's perception of what Superman is supposed to be, all these things, they really hold Zack Snyder to a very limited, like room for creativity. I mean, look at all the changes they've made with all the Marvel movie characters, in the MCU. Very little fuss about any of this stuff, but people are freaking out about Darkseid. Oh, he doesn't look comic book accurate. Oh, look how muddled and gray he is. He is fucking gray, you fuckers. That's what he is. I'm sorry. Now I'm starting to fanboy out, but like, I don't want to do that. But the point is they hold these expectations that they don't hold with anybody else with Zack Snyder, and I don't get it. I don't understand what people's problem is just because the movie's darker than they expected. Yeah. Sorry, I was about to sneeze. I was telling you to say something, but yeah, I don't know. I woke up with the sniffles today, which sucks because I just got over a cold.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just like a resurgence or whatever. So if I sneeze, I apologize, but I promise you I'm not contagious because we're on YouTube.
Yeah. Probably not contagious through the screen.
Right.
But we'll see what happens.
Anyway, but so yeah, there it is. Whatever. Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming out, so just deal with it. And I'm sure they're gonna bitch and complain and talk about how dark and gritty. Well, oh my god, the aspect ratio. Why would they do that to us? You know, somebody's gonna get offended, and then somebody's got to make an apology. You know, AT&T and Warner Media is gonna have to make an apology for triggering people who are so used to having a normal aspect ratio that, you know, we apologize, we put you through this trauma. You know, you soft ass moviegoers.
You know, I have just a quick suggestion to everyone who hates these movies so much. Just one small suggestion. Don't watch them.
What?
Don't watch them if you hate them so much. Like,
that's insane. You're crazy. You're talking nonsense.
I am, aren't I?
How can I hate the movie if I don't watch it? I have to watch it in order to hate it.
Then don't talk about it.
I do what I want. This is America. Who are you to tell me what to do? Huh? Fuck yeah. I mean, this is America, man. We can do whatever we want. Mr. Potato Head, fuck that guy. He's just Potato Head now. Gender neutral Potato Head, because that's important, Seth. That's America. I'm not making any fuss with any gender neutral anything, but yeah, it's a fucking toy.
It's a potato.
It's a toy. I mean, what did he do wrong? What did he do? Like, was he like abusive to Mrs. Potato Head? Is Mrs. Potato Head gonna be Mrs. Potato Head still, or are they just gonna be like some like asexual potato toys, just, you know, doing whatever they want to do or whoever they want to do, because that's what toys do. They have sex, right? Haven't you ever seen Toy Story?
I don't think we watched the same Toy Story.
Yeah, sorry, I heard that today, and I don't get it. I don't understand the concept.
I don't really care. It's a potato.
Right, but it seems
and
like...
plus, I don't hate the idea, because, like, it's just get all the accessories and a potato. No need to buy Mr. Potato Head and then Mrs. Potato Head. Just get one, and then you put whichever accessories you want on it, and then call it what you want. Like, I don't know.
Anyway, that's enough energy I'm going to put into potatoes. All right, so new Superman, possible reboot. That can open up a whole slew of different concepts. You know, we can, you know, I don't know. Do you want to see Michael B. Jordan be Superman?
Yes, I do. The thing is, though, is he is doing another DC movie. He's not starring in it, but he's producing another DC movie.
What movie is that?
Static Shock.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah, he's producing a Static Shock movie.
So
maybe he'll be busy with that, rather than Superman. But, you know, you could also say, well, J.J. Abrams is busy. You know, he's producing the new Superman movie, which isn't, I don't think, a surprise to many people.
I see what Static... Yeah, I've seen images of that
Yeah,
before.
there you go. It's on the top row near the right.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan and Static Shock.
Yeah, I see.
You know, you have J.J. Abrams. He's producing the new Superman movie, and he's also doing all this Justice League Dark stuff. They're doing a Justice League Dark TV show, and on top of that, they're doing a Constantine show, Zatanna show. They're rebooting Swamp Thing, and
why are they rebooting Swamp Thing?
I have no idea. People liked the one that came out like 2 years ago.
I think Warner Brothers just hates their fans.
I don't know. They're
canceled it to money or something.
They canceled the show before it even like aired.
Yeah,
and I thought that was odd.
The whole DC universe concept was odd. What they did with that was very weird.
It's like, it felt like they were making it, and in the middle of making it, they decided to do a Warner Brothers one streaming service instead of just a DC one.
Right.
But they still went through with the DC universe.
Probably just like test out the waters.
Yeah, and then they did HBO Max, and now everything on DC Universe has moved to HBO Max. So,
which we saw coming.
Yeah, everyone saw that coming. As soon as HBO Max, even before HBO Max came out, everyone was like, okay, well, they're totally going to move this stuff. You know, like, what, Doom Patrol Season 3, that's coming on HBO Max. Harley Quinn Season 3.
I need to catch up on Doom Patrol. I like that show a lot. It got a little weird. Like, I kind of got disconnected in Season 2, I think. But I think I need to give it a rewatch. And it was definitely fun for what it was.
Yeah, I want to give Swamp Thing another shot. Because I watched it, or not all of it, but we watched some of it when it came out. and I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it or anything. I didn't hate it, but I was like
episode 2. I was just like, I was done with it.
Yeah, I was like, it's not great, but it's not like the worst thing ever. I might give it another shot, but
Well, I think I just wasn't like a Swamp Thing fan.
I don't think there's many people who would tell you that Swamp Thing is their favorite like DC character. I'm sure there's someone out there who would say that, but
I like that the route they went though, the horror route that they went. I thought that was great, but
I thought it was very odd because near the end of last year or near the beginning of last year, they said Swamp Thing is going to air on the CW, just season 1. And I was like, CW? I was like, that show's gory. Like, that show's very gory. Like, how are they going to get this down to a TV 14 rating? Yeah. And I have no idea how they did because I didn't watch it, but they did. I guess it was TV 14.
Well, it wasn't that bad. I mean,
I know, but there was.
I think it was more, cinematography and, smoke and mirrors to make it seem scarier than it actually was. But it didn't have like slashery moments or F-bombs every 5 minutes that I recall.
Yeah, well, we also only watched like 2 episodes of it.
Fair enough. But yeah, it all basically boils down to Warner Brothers still doesn't seem like they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that became very apparent when they came out with HBO Max and they gave AT&T the full rights to every character. Like, just do whatever you want with every character. Do your own thing.
And then AT&T was like, all right, we'll do that.
We're going to release a Snyder Cut. What the? And we did.
Oh, my bad.
And we didn't even see it coming. It's like, well, at least that oversight got the Snyder Cut released.
Yeah.
And now they can do whatever they want. They can do Justice League, Snyderverse. They can take whatever movies they come out with and just pick and choose what they want on HBO Max. I think the best thing Warner Brothers ever did was have that oversight in their contract with AT&T.
Yeah.
Because AT&T might actually appreciate their fans and do things that they like instead of trying to mimic everything Marvel does.
If they do go through with this Superman reboot and, bring in Michael B. Jordan or something, I still hope there's a chance HBO Max will give us something with Henry Cavill, whether that be a new Superman series or just another project with Henry Cavill in it.
Here you go again, trying to get my A-list movie actors down to the streaming services.
I don't think Henry Cavill's really an A-lister, but...
he could have been.
He could have been, but WB doesn't like him. Well, he's already on the streaming services. Netflix. He stars in The Witcher.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I've heard rumors that he's hard to work with. I don't know. I don't have any examples. It's not like a widely known thing, but I've heard
I've heard that too, but
why is he not in movies? Because he's not. He was in Mission Impossible. Besides that, he's just on streaming services. You don't see him.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He's on The Witcher, and he did that kind of Sherlock Holmes movie. I don't even remember the name of it.
Yeah,
it was about his sister.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name.
Emma something Holmes. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but he played Sherlock in that movie. That was a Netflix thing, and I mean, I guess you can count Snyder Cut as a streaming service thing. I don't know if that's necessarily the same, but.
Yeah, well, that's where it is now, but...
Yeah, you know what I mean, but... Hopefully we can get a Superman something. I was hoping he'd be in Shazam too, but it's sounding like that's not going to happen.
Well, I think Warner Brothers might just slowly fading out the Snyderverse as much as they can.
Slowly? Doesn't sound like they're slowly doing that.
Well,
that's something they kind of just did.
Well, I meant
in the middle of a movie.
But now they're stuck with all these characters that people love. The Flash, Harley Quinn. These are all Snyderverse based characters.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the Harley Quinn movie sucked. maybe they were just trying to get people to hate her. But now they got the Suicide Squad coming out.
That sounds great though.
Does it?
It does.
How does it sound great? You haven't seen any footage. You haven't heard any synopsis. You haven't. How do you know? Are you just excited because it's James Gunn?
That's a big reason.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason. It looks fun. Like what we have seen, which, like you said, isn't a lot, but what we have seen, it sounds like it's going to just be a fun movie. Yeah. You got a great cast with it too. Sylvester Stallone is in this movie, and so's Taika Waititi, and
it's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what it is. Sylvester Stallone was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He was.
Taika Waititi was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sylvester Stallone is totally King Shark, by the way. We don't know technically who he's playing. I think he's going to be playing King Shark. But
do you think it's just going to be an extended cameo part for him, or do you think he's actually going to be a real character, like a prominent character?
If he's King Shark, that's going to be a prominent character. I don't know who else he could be. There's only one reason I say that he could be King Shark is because they wrapped filming for the movie like over a year ago now. And if not a year, then close to a year ago. And just a few months ago, he was doing work on the movie. Sylvester Stallone was. Like, just October, maybe even after that, he was doing work on the movie.
Probably mocap, if anything.
Or voice. Mocap or voice. Well, no, he didn't do any mocap. If it is King Shark, because they had the DC fandom panel for the Suicide Squad, and they have someone named Steve Agee, I think is his name. They were saying he was King Shark, but they were specifying, they were making it very clear that he was the on-set King Shark. Because
so it makes sense.
They weren't saying like, oh yeah, here's Steve Agee who plays King Shark. They were like, here's Steve Agee who plays the on-set King Shark. And when they released the cast and character list, because in the same video, they didn't have a cast member with King Shark. So
it would make sense.
It would make sense for it to be Sylvester Stallone.
And the stuff he's working on is just voiceover work.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, that works. But yeah, I'm excited for the most part just to see it. I'm about half and half, actually, to be honest with you, for the Suicide Squad. I'm hoping, I don't know what it is. It's that whole Wonder Woman 84 thing. Is this a sequel? Is it not? Is it a prequel?
It's not a sequel in the sense that it's not a continuation of the story that was in the first movie. It has some of the same characters. They're bringing back Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Rick Flag, and Amanda Waller, and I think someone else maybe.
They're bringing back Rick Flag?
Yeah, they're bringing him back.
Neat.
And everyone else is new, but James Gunn has already said that you don't have to watch the first one to know what's going on in this one. Like, it's kind of its own thing,
right? Which
makes that right there is an okay example of it's kind of a reboot. Like not necessarily a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know what Patty Jenkins was talking about when she was saying Wonder Woman 84 wasn't a sequel.
She probably meant the same concept, but she was just more aggressive with her words. Like she was, no, this is not a sequel. Like she probably meant it in that same light. Like you could not watch the first one and be just fine with this one, but it was pretty much, it was everything, all the events that happened in the first one led up to what happened in this one. It's the whole Steve Trevor concept. It's not like it didn't happen, but they do gloss over it enough to where you don't really have to watch the first movie to understand. It's probably what she meant, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But, she was just, I don't know, just very confident in the way she was thinking. And, I don't know.
I actually really liked Wonder Woman 84, though.
It's not bad. I watched it 3 times, and I had a good time the whole time. I did a review for it.
I watched it, 4 days before it left HBO Max, so I never got to watch it a second time, but I liked it. I liked the villain, especially. He was cool. I like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, and he was pretty good. He was so outrageous, but that was just how the movie is.
I like the feel of the movie. It was cheesy, and it gave me the same feel that Aquaman did, in the sense that it's not taking itself super seriously, and it's cheesy. It's like a cheesy comic book movie, and it's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. And
that's what I like so much about Aquaman.
And they still can tie into the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
They don't have to be that way themselves. Even though I wouldn't mind that being a thing. You know, I wouldn't mind, like, just the whole everything being dark and gloomy, but that's me. You know?
I like the differences, but, you know, I like both sides of it. You know,
like you said before, you know, these are comic book movies, and when you went and saw Man of Steel when you were 8 years old, it didn't connect with you.
Right.
You know, and that's the big issue with studios. They want these movies to connect with children so they can sell more toys and make more money and do all this bullshit. You know, but at the same time, kids should enjoy movies too. You know, that's why adults like me got into movies. You know, because we were drawn in by, you know, the comic book movies of our day. You know, Batman. You know. And Batman, you know, and Christopher Reeve's Superman. You know, like they drew us in as children, and now we want to see the adult versions of them. You know,
yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a double, two different universes going on. One for your younger audience, one for your older audience. Zack Snyder just happens to be for the older audience, but they just hadn't made that distinction yet. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would go see BVS in theaters, or, you know, younger kids would go see BVS in theaters, and they're like, "What the hell is going on? This isn't
Why aren't they fighting?
This isn't cheerful." You know, I get that argument of things, but at the same time, these are very complex characters. They're not just cookie cutter, and I like diving deep into that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, having, you know, these characters spawn off the Snyderverse and doing a more campier, you know, pop culture, you know, friendly movie, I get that too. That's still fun. I'm still not a huge fan of Aquaman though.
I just think it's fun. I think it's a fun movie. I like Aquaman. I like Shazam a lot. Birds of Prey was okay. I
need to watch Shazam again, because I just can't. I still don't like that movie.
I love it.
Speaking of Shazam, a little side note here.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I posted a post on Facebook today. I was really just I felt like shaking things up a little bit, and let me see if I can find it. I posted, I don't know who needs to hear this, but the movie Shazaam starring Sinbad doesn't exist. Never has. Prove me wrong. I've got almost 100 comments on this fucking thing. And, like, literally, like, people are arguing. It's ridiculous. I'm over here like, it doesn't exist. Yes, I know there's a whole Mandela Effect. You know what I'm talking about? You know what that is? Where people think they've seen it and they all, you know, connectively, you know, recollect Sinbad being in a movie called Shazam. But that's never been a thing. And there's all these conspiracy theories going on, people arguing in the comments, and I'm over here just like, I'm kind of like evilly laughing, like, dance, monkeys, dance. Because, like, I knew that would happen. That's why I posted the damn thing.
Yeah. I like Mandela Effects.
They're weird, you know, like
Monopoly Man never had a monocle.
Yeah, never. The peanut guy did.
Yeah.
I think that's where people get that confused. Fruit Loops is spelled with 2 O's and not spelled like actual fruit.
Looney Tunes, have you heard that one?
Yeah.
How Looney Tunes is spelled? It's spelled Tunes.
Yeah, like music. Yeah.
Which makes no sense, but
no, it doesn't.
Dare I say it's loony of them to do that.
Curious George doesn't have a tail.
We Are the Champions. Everyone thinks that song ends with him screaming "of the world." Doesn't. It does not end with him saying "we are the champions of the world." I think he did that once at a concert, and that's it.
I don't know enough about it. I never really thought about that one. But the Shazam thing, like, there's people on this comment section that genuinely believe that they've seen this movie. They remember it vividly. And the thing is I was in this. Like, when I first heard about this, that it wasn't a movie, I was like, no, I know what movie you're talking about. I know what Sinbad movie you're talking about. It's still weird because I was part of that. I've had to come to the grips of reality and understand that this movie just doesn't exist.
There's the one with Shaq called Kazam.
Yeah. But like, if you, like 10 years ago, if you would have asked me about the Sinbad movie called Shazam, I'm like, oh yeah, the one where he's a genie. I don't know where this fucking came from. And it makes me wonder, like, let's dive deep into this for a second. And let's say there's some weird ass, like, governmental experiment, like to test if they can put something out in pop culture world and then take it away and make the people who remember what it is feel like they're crazy. Imagine like like this would be successful. Oh, this is a success. Some people remember it, but there's no evidence of it. Now we can just call these people nuts. That's a weird mind control sort of thing. That's just one of the thoughts that go through my head when I think about all this stuff. And, Mandela effects. And why did they think Nelson Mandela like died in the 80s? Like a lot of people thought he died in the 80s. He didn't die until 2013.
Yeah.
Which I was never part of that group. I never thought he died in the 80s. I was very aware that he got out of prison and ended up becoming a president of the country. And he was the first, person to be pardoned from prison to actually become a president. And so, like, I was very aware of that whole situation, but for some reason, people think he died in the 80s. I guess I wasn't part of that experiment, but...
Experiment.
But people kept showing that clips of the Shazam, the found footage of Shazam. Have you seen that?
No.
Let me show you the found footage of Shazam. Here it is. All right. Okay, let's get past the ads here. Jesus, how long? Like, your video will play in half an hour. Oh, hold on. Let me get it over on that screen for you. All right, this is the Shazam theoretical found footage, which is great. I'm gonna pause and like show you some neat things about this clip. Okay.
All right.
But a lot of people were putting, here's your proof, Steve. Here's your proof that this movie actually existed, because it's made to look like a '90s thing.
What are you doing? Dad could have thrown out hormone stuff. He just could have. James, there's got to be something he forgot here.
So 2 kids searching through their box in the basement or something. Obviously they lost their dad or something like that.
They're real. No one can take that from us.
We have our memories. They're real. No one can take that away from us. They're obviously playing into what this is. And people believe that this is an actual clip from the lost movie of Shazam. And Sinbad is actually in this. But first thing I noticed was how old Sinbad looked. This came out in 2017. It's obviously a spoof. Now, this entire video, one thing I've discovered, is about the Mandela Effect. That line right there is a prime example. We have our memories. No one can take that away from us. So let me show you some other things. Okay, right here.
Can you imagine if Dad saw this mess?
So it looks like the tape glitches here, and there might have been like another recording that they recorded over, and you see this little glimpse of the Fruit Loops. Spelled actual fruit. As opposed to the double O that the Fruit Loops Zero is actually called.
Yeah.
So now this right here, this is telling you we're playing into all the things you think you saw, but we're putting it in this thing as a spoof. This whole thing is a spoof, and people actually believe it's real. But there's a whole bunch of other things too. Let me show you here. And I'm sure there's a lot of references I don't get. Yeah. There's the Monopoly board.
Oh, yeah, because,
The Bernstein bears. People think they're called Bernstein bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Bernstein. I can't remember the fucking name. But anyway, people always think it's spelled with an E. It's spelled with an A. You know, like there's all these different references to what's part of the Mandela Effect. Like this is so creative. This looks like a lot of fun. I want what
Oh, do you see the in the corner down there?
right here?
Yep.
What's that say?
Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yeah, nice, good catch. I didn't see that in the newspaper that says Nelson Mandela. Yeah, perfect, prime example. This whole thing's a prime example. See, I wonder if that was anything. If there's another little glitch there. Like now I want to search through this and just kind of like try to discover a little. Do we pass it? Oh well. See, I wonder what that painting. I want to know what all these references are.
Took you long enough, Tina. Wait, y'all are not Tina. Wait. Where you going? I just got here. What happened to saying hello? I believe we got off on the wrong foot.
Don't come any closer.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start all over, right? I'm gonna introduce myself. I am Shazam! I'm the genie of the lamp.
So yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
And people actually believe this is a real thing. This is their evidence that they're showing me on my feed. You're like, here, Steve. Obviously, here's the movie. Here's the proof you're looking for. I'm like, no, you don't get it.
It's college humor.
Yeah, college humor, exactly. So, anyway, I'm sorry to squirrel on you there, but we said Shazam, and like all I could think about was just me like geeking out on my news feed today, just watching everyone freak out. Like literally, there's one person. I'm not going to name names, but I'll put it this way: he used to live here for a very short stint. You know, and he went off on this huge tangent because somebody said. So I'm not going to go into it. I'm not even going to bring it up. The point is people are really sensitive about all this. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Shazam. Sorry, I squirreled on you guys there. But yeah, for all you non-believers out there, stick to that because that movie doesn't exist. And Sinbad has come out and said the same thing. So
Sinbad doesn't exist either.
no, he's a figment. What would you do if, like, tomorrow, like, there's no evidence of Sinbad, but you're one of, like, a group of people that remember Sinbad
It'd be very weird
and remember this controversy, but I don't even remember it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even know who Sinbad is. Talking about the pirate? You know, like...
I would just be convinced that there's something going on with the world,
See,
whatever it may be.
That's how people feel about this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's people that swear up and down they've seen this movie. I even read an article, or not an article, but a story about one guy who worked, his family owned a video store. He's like, I remember buying it. I remember ordering the movie for us to rent out. I remember renting it out. I remember bringing it back in and rewinding it and watching it, making sure it didn't have scuffs in it and stuff like that. Like, people just deeply remember this fucking movie. And they're like, people are like, well, what about Kazam? We're like, no, it's not Kazam. It's Shazam with Sinbad.
It's weird to think about. You know, I've never even seen Kazam, so
Right.
This wasn't something that affected myself very much, but it's still interesting to hear about everyone who fully believes that this movie exists.
It's a glitch in the Matrix. You know, I remember one moment when I was a kid, I had something like this happen with a movie. It was the movie Ransom with Mel Gibson. And I remember watching the trailer for it and thinking, man, that looks like a really good movie. I want to see this movie, you know? And I was a weird kid. I like dramas, you know. I was the kid that, you know, loved Bad Boys when I was, 10, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I liked, more dramatic things. Hence probably why I love Batman v Superman. But So yeah, I was like, man, I really want to see this Ransom movie. It looks really good. Like, they showed in the trailer him like on the news, bring me my son back and all this stuff. And then like I never heard about the movie again. Like I didn't really look for it or anything. I just maybe I'll see it when it comes out on video and whatever. I just didn't really think about it. Fast forward like 4 years later, I see the trailer for the movie again. And it's going to be put in theaters. And people are acting like this is the first time this trailer has been shown. And then it came out in theater. I remember like it being a big thing. It was a big hit. And I'm like, but I saw this trailer like 4 years ago. I swear to fucking God. Like I remember that it was the same exact trailer. Him on the news, pleading, give me my son, all this stuff. Like it was the same exact thing. I remember that trailer 4 years earlier, how excited I was to see that movie.
Yeah.
And then it just fell off the map for me. I never really thought about it again. Then 4 years later, boom, here comes this trailer. And everyone's acting like it's the first time that it's ever been seen. I've never met another person who experienced that with that movie. But that's something weird that I'll never forget that. And it's just like this same thing. I wonder what that is. I wonder what kind of weird ass, I don't know.
I've never even heard that story before.
Yeah, well, it's something that just kind of resurrected in my mind reading all this stuff today.
Yeah.
Somebody shared a story on my post about how she couldn't remember the name of the movie, but she saw a movie in theaters and remembered how the movie went, exactly. And then like, I can't remember exactly what she said. Hold on. Let me look it up because I got the feed right here. Yeah, and then let me see. There it is. She says, I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but when I saw it in theaters, I clearly remembered watching it on TV at my house as a kid. That's what it was. When she saw it in theaters, she remembered seeing this movie as a kid on TV. Oh. She goes, I knew what was coming up the entire time I watched it in theaters, and I was right. I figured it was a remake maybe, but once I got a computer and AOL, I saw it claimed to be brand new. It's a comedy, and she goes on to describe what happens in the movie. A man says he's been digging an escape tunnel, and when he shows it, it's like a four lane lit paved tunnel, whatever. But same exact thing. She remembers this movie being on TV as a kid, but now it's in theaters and no one remembers it ever being a thing. But how does she know how this movie is panning out? How do I remember that trailer? How do people remember Sinbad in this fucking movie that never existed?
It's weird. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's a weird thing to think about.
Well, people dive into like the psychology, of the Mandela Effect and how mass hysteria or mass hallucinations and all this like kind of tie in together. Picking up little cues in your brain from things that you hear and see, but your brain just kind of connects the dots on its own. There's all these things that are just way more intelligent than I am that describe how this could happen. But the point is, it's still fucking weird. It's false memories, but your memories are accurate to what you're watching. Like I've seen this before. Like I my brain didn't just connect dots and make up this movie that actually is out now. 4 years later, I didn't fake seeing that trailer. I remember this trailer. It's the same exact trailer. I remember that trailer being on TV. I remember being excited about it. Just like, the girl on Facebook. She remembers seeing that movie and knew what was going to happen next on screen.
It's interesting.
Hold on a second. Had to mute that one.
All right.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack the Film Trigger podcast.
It's all right.
But hey, let us know if you're listening to this. Have you had that sort of thing, that sort of experience? Do you remember seeing Shazaam? Like not the DC movie, but the Sinbad genie movie. And there's still a whole conspiracy theory on why that's being buried. People think there was a lawsuit because DC had Shazam in comic books or something like that, and they used the Shazam name, and like instead of going to court, they just buried the fucking movie. you know, and like there's all these conspiracy theories, and people are dead serious. No, they just buried the movie because they didn't want to pay the royalties, you know, but you can't get rid of every copy of a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Some people are saying it never had hard copies. Some people are saying it did have hard copies and they held it in their hands. You know, it's insane.
It's impossible to just get rid of a movie from existence.
Well, nothing's impossible, but
Well,
it's
okay.
improbable for sure.
Maybe not impossible, but very, very unlikely that you'll actually be able to bury a movie forever, because people would still have it. There'd have to be someone out there who would still own this movie,
Right.
if it existed.
I mean, look at, not to harp on this again and too much, but like look at the Snyder Cut. Warner Brothers tried to bury that. Zack Snyder still had one copy of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
And now he's turned it into a whole production. I know I'm loosely tying it in, but I'm trying to get back into the comic realm because I totally spaced out on stuff there. But I had to share my Shazaam experience on Facebook this morning. I'm really glad I made that post. All right, so let's moving forward here. We watched WandaVision.
Yes, we did. And I think we should say now, spoiler warning for
Spoiler
episode 8.
alert. Yeah, because we don't do spoiler-free stuff here very often.
Yeah.
And we're here to discuss things. If you haven't seen it, here's your warning. We're going to talk about it in depth. Or
All right.
not in depth, but we're going to
Just
give
a little
away
bit.
some spoilers. So without diving too deep into what the spoilers are, White Vision.
Wow.
Why you gotta be white?
Okay, here we go. And WandaVision just got canceled. White Vision makes an appearance, or Anti-Vision, as he's also known.
Yeah. And he's the real Vision. Can we talk about that?
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
That's Vision's real body, because it's
because Wanda made him up. It's fabricated in Wanda's mind.
It's been believed for about the whole show that Wanda stole Vision's body, and we just assumed she took him into the Hex and brought him back somehow. Nope, she created him,
Just like her
completely.
Kids. She's gonna lose him for the third time.
Yes, I see it very unlikely that Vision will make it out of this show alive.
But they'll at least continue it with White Vision.
Yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. But I want to talk about this for a second. There was something we talked about. We spent a lot of time on it too last week. It was a quote from Paul Bettany saying that there's a cameo we don't know about from an actor he's wanted to work with his entire life, and him talking about how him and that actor had great chemistry on set. Some people are thinking, now this isn't like a fact, but some people are thinking that he was talking about himself and was messing with people.
Yeah, just
because
trolling everybody.
He's probably, or is going to play White Vision as well. Whether he does the voice or not, different story. But on set, in the suit, he's going to be White Vision. I can see him doing that, just trolling everybody like that, like hyping up this giant cameo. And
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's not a disappointment to have such a what I assume is a huge character in the comic books. I don't really read the comic books. I don't know how big of a key character White Vision is, but it's definitely a new element of the show that's exciting.
yeah.
But to not deliver on the cameo and have it be you, I could see fans also being like, hey, well, wait, fuck you, buddy.
I think we'll get a cameo. I don't think it's going to be on that level that he was describing. I think we're still going to get a cameo, and I can almost guarantee, for obvious reasons, that it'll probably be Doctor Strange. But
Yeah, and we talked about that in our last podcast.
yeah.
So, but this episode itself was okay. You could tell, okay, they're nearing the end and they're really tying up these loose ends.
Yes, we got every single question answered, basically.
Yeah.
We still have some more, but they were most...
Sorry, I had to mute that real quick.
We still have some questions, but those are mostly questions that were raised in the episode itself. You know, why does Hayward want to rebuild Vision so bad? Is he Ultron? Is he just, you know?
Okay, him being Ultron, I don't get. Again, I don't follow the comic books, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's no two dots that connect that he would be Ultron or a version of Ultron. Vision destroyed Ultron. Why would Ultron come back as a human? Why and how? Like, and if so, Ultron's supposed to be a super being. He's just like Vision. You know, Vision's he's a little, Vision's the upgraded version of Ultron. You know, but still, now he's just a police guy who's kind of fumbling his way through shit. I don't understand. Like, there's nothing Ultron-esque about this character that makes me go, he's Ultron. It just doesn't seem like a good fit. Disney would have to do some major, like, detailed explanation of how this would work, which Kevin Feige, he probably could probably pull it off, but if they don't, and they're like, no, he's just Ultron, then I'll start getting concerned. Maybe Marvel's losing their grip on, explaining their details as great as they usually do.
Yeah. Well, not saying it will be Ultron. That's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, it's 100% Ultron. It's, I could see it happening, but I also think it's pretty likely that he's just Hayward, who just wants to rebuild Vision for some reason, But
he did know that Wanda could create her own universe or bring Vision back to life. Like, he said that to her when she went to look at the body, and she didn't even know that she could do it. So how did this guy know? And then you have Abigail, Agatha. You have Agatha. Where did she come from exactly?
I'm wondering what's her role in this. Like, why is she here? We don't have an answer to that yet.
Yeah.
Why is she here? In the opening scene of the episode, they were, she's been alive since the 1600s.
Yeah.
Probably maybe even before that, We don't know how old she is, but at least the 1600s. And, she had that song at the end of episode 7. It was Agatha All Along. I saw a theory. It was like, what if it has actually been Agatha all along? And they mean like the entire MCU. What if they somehow make that a thing? It was just an interesting thought, but I don't think they do that. But it's just an interesting thought.
To me, that wouldn't even make sense to do. It seems like she's more invested in Scarlet Witch's powers and her abilities to bring back Vision and create this entire, illusion and like out of thin air. Like, her power is so great. I think that's her vested interest. Is she's the one? Obviously, she said the name. She named her Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And she's going to tie in like her witch powers and with what Scarlet Witch does, and just make that connection. Like, okay, you are part of this world, but I need to know how you got your powers as strong as you did. I don't think she has anything to do with the whole MCU. We would have known about it by now. I think she came out of the woodwork when she saw what Scarlet Witch could do. Which, honestly, if you look at everyone else in the MCU, Scarlet Witch does stand out. As she's more just magical. Like, she's, it's not like Captain America who, he got gamma rays and now he's big and buff and, indestructible seemingly.
Yeah.
Iron Man who creates his own suits. The Hulk, again, gamma ray, problems. Created this alter ego for himself. Like, there's these explanations for everything, and they try to explain Scarlet Witch a little bit, with the Strucker experiments in the Age of Ultron, but her powers are seemingly just supernatural in origin, as opposed to given to you through some sort of manner one way or another. And they even call back to that in this episode as a kid, like that she was protecting her and her brother from this missile, the Stark Industries missile. And why did the missile never explode? Because you protected. You put like an umbrella over yourself. Like, this is something that she's always had. I'm just waiting for Magneto to show up.
I don't know if that'll happen in WandaVision, but
All right.
I could see it happening someday.
I don't know if they'll ever connect them as. I mean, they could tie them in, and have the family be an adoptive family, but that's way speculation down the road. One thing I saw in this episode that I wish they would have done in the very first episode was show at least a glimpse of WandaVision Wanda watching these old TV shows on VHS with her family, and like just click it on and then like, I don't know, focus in on her eyes and then go into the WandaVision. That would have put things in just a little bit more, attention grasping for me, because by the third episode I was done, like with this what TV shit that they're doing, and they gave me a little bit tease of, okay, there's something else going on here, okay, which we all knew. But if they would have just started it out that way, I don't know, it would have drew me in better. That's really the only complaint I have, because other than that, I really like the show. So
yeah, they kind of showed her new suit, which I thought was cool. She had the tiara that she always has in the comics and stuff.
You talking about when she was dressed up in the costume, or are you talking about in that vision, like where she saw the Mind Stone, you see the silhouette?
Yeah, I'm talking about that.
Okay,
that's probably her new suit, because we know she's getting a new suit by the end of the show. We had tiny glimpses of it in the posters, and of course that's probably what her suit's going to be in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see what it looks like in full. How they can make the tiara work.
Well, it won't be. I don't see it being a big deal to make it. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God, it's outrageous, take that thing off. No.
Yeah. I guess I should have worded that better, but we have 3 major things coming out for the MCU, and Doctor Strange is seemingly the big finale of it all. We have WandaVision, ties in directly to Doctor Strange. In a few months, we're getting Loki, which ties in directly to Doctor Strange.
I forgot about Loki. I forgot about that being a thing.
It looks good. They have a trailer out now. It looks pretty good.
Which is odd, because I've actually been on a Thor kick. I've been watching all the Thor movies. You know, which I tell you what, those definitely work out better once you know how the whole MCU pans out, with Endgame and everything. Like, going back and watching these Thor movies makes more sense. Like, they tie in better than they did before. So just a little observation with that. But yeah, I forgot about the Loki show, which is a great way to bring him back.
It was very clever, because I remember...
Yeah, he escapes death once again.
It was funny, because when Endgame came out, he had the Tesseract, and he went through that portal, and that was all we saw of him. And there were people joking about the... They were like, oh yeah, where's Loki going? They were like, oh, he's on his way to Disney Plus, ha ha ha. Well, that's exactly what happened. That's the case. That's exactly what happened. That's that's where he went, was his own show.
Right, and they can bring him back. Do you think he'll show up in Love and Thunder?
If he does, it'll probably just be a small cameo. Yeah.
Is that coming out before or after the Loki show?
Loki comes out in June.
Okay, then that's probably how he'll be in Thor: Love and Thunder. I will right now 90% guarantee that he will be, not just in the cameo spot. Like, I think he'll have a part to do with it.
I think if he did, we would have heard about it by now. But, obviously...
They're going to keep it under wraps, because they don't want to ruin any spoilers for the Loki show.
Speaking of under wraps, I just want to talk about this real quick. Doctor Strange 2. This is like the most heavily guarded I've ever seen an MCU movie be. We have yet to have a single set photo from it, and they've been filming since like October or November. Like, Bruce Campbell is seemingly in the movie. He posted something earlier today about he's been in London for a few weeks, and obviously they were filming Doctor Strange in London. Everyone just kind of assumed, that he was in that because of Sam Raimi. But earlier today he posted a picture of London. He said, "Boy, it was a blast working in a certain city with a certain director on a certain movie with a certain actor." It's like, all right.
I can hear that in his voice.
I can too. But it's just like, okay, you could have just said certain director. We would have known exactly what you were talking about. Yeah. Whether he's going to have another cameo, just like he did in the Spider-Man movies, or plays something of an actual role, we don't know.
Wasn't there a rumor that the cameo that he played in Spider-Man, like he was playing the same guy every time?
Yeah, because there was concept art of Spider-Man 4 that he was Mysterio. And I mean, it was just concept art, nothing ever happened with it, but there was concept art of Mysterio getting arrested, and they used Bruce Campbell's face. So, and I see it likely, kind of like how Stan Lee, all the same characters in the MCU, seemingly.
So he played the same character in different aspects, watching over everyone in the universe.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that kind of like
solidified that.
Yeah. They
solidified that theory.
If you watch Guardians 2, he's talking, and obviously he's in outer space. He's
talking about his previous adventures.
He's talking about how he was a FedEx driver.
Yeah.
Which is what he did in Civil War. I just think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's... how crazy would it be if, like, Sam Raimi's tie-in into the MCU makes Bruce Campbell the next Stan Lee when it comes to cameos?
I saw someone say that they want Bruce Campbell to play a completely different character in every multiverse they go into in that movie. And I was like, I actually don't hate that idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all.
I saw someone say, and this is very unlikely, but it was kind of interesting to think about. What if he's playing Ash? It's not going to happen, but it's like...
I mean, it could. I mean, who owns the rights to... I mean, does Raimi own all the rights to...
No, but he would
Dead?
Definitely have some say in it if he wanted to do that.
I want to know. I want to look that up. I want to see who owns...
There's like multiple different companies that own the rights. Because there's... I think MGM owns the rights to Evil Dead. I think they own the rights to Army of Darkness. But then there's like another company that owns the rights to Evil Dead 2, and then there's another company that owns the rights to Ash versus Evil Dead. And there's a ton of different companies that...
Yeah, but Sam Raimi's over all of it.
I think he definitely
he might own the majority share of it.
If he does...
Here's this, HollywoodReporter.com, Sam Raimi sues over rights to Evil Dead sequel.
But I like the idea.
So Renaissance holds the Evil Dead, holds on Evil Dead. So, yeah, Renaissance is the company that did the first Evil Dead movie, and I think they still own the rights to the Evil Dead franchise. I'm just assuming here. I'm not going to actually go into this fucking article and read this whole fucking thing right now. See what I can pick apart, though. Evil Dead is an American... Okay, I know what Evil Dead is. Thank you. Yeah, I don't see that happening either way.
Yeah,
it would be a good cameo spot, like if they showed him, like they in a classic blue tee and they, chainsaw on his arm, but like no lines, or he looks back and he says, something like, "Who the hell are you?" And then they bounce into a different multiverse, like.
Yeah.
I would a little nod. That'd be fun, but I would not want to merge those two universes together.
Well, I'm not expecting them to, like, let's say theoretically they did that. I'm not expecting them to reveal a new Evil Dead movie with the Marvel Studios logo over it. That's,
right, brought to you by Disney.
It's not something I would expect. I'm just saying that, it was just a fun theory. I think my favorite one though is every multiverse they go to is him playing a different character.
Yeah, I dig it.
But there's also, there's the theory that he maybe just makes a quick cameo as just some random guy, or maybe he's Nightmare. If they want to give him a bigger role, he could be Nightmare.
I don't want him to have a bigger role. Like the biggest role I want him to have is like the sidekick, like matter of fact guy. Like what's her name? Kat Dennings, in Thor, like that kind of character.
Yeah.
Just kind of like tags along, helps out every now and again, says some quirky things. Like that's where I'd want to see Bruce Campbell. I don't want to see Bruce Campbell actually acting. I feel like there's a reason we haven't seen that. Besides, his Evil Dead adventures. Like that's the most acting I've seen Bruce Campbell do.
I still think...
Well, that and it wasn't even acting, but his voiceover in the Spider-Man video game was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think either way, no matter what he does, whether it be a quick cameo or an actual role, I'm glad he's in the movie.
Yeah.
I like the idea of him being in it, and I thought it would be a missed opportunity to not have him be in it, especially with Sam Raimi directing. He'll say yes to anything with Sam Raimi. He says he's retired from Ash. I can guarantee if Sam Raimi just asked him to play Ash again, he would.
Yeah.
He's like Mark Hamill with Joker. He always retires, but he always comes back.
Fair enough. Yeah, and comes back with a vengeance. Wow, Sam Raimi's in his 60s. I didn't know that.
See, I'm curious to where they're going to take... And I was saying earlier that there's 3 things that tie directly into Doctor Strange. WandaVision, Loki, and Spider-Man No Way Home tie directly into that. Doctor Strange, he'll probably be in WandaVision. We know for a fact he's going to be in No Way Home. And I don't know. It feels like Doctor Strange is going to be one giant, like, event almost. Like, it's all these projects are leading directly into this.
Like,
movie.
WandaVision is the start of Phase 4, right?
Yes.
I feel like it's, WandaVision is the start of Phase 4, but Doctor Strange is going to really explode out what Phase 4 is going to look like.
Exactly.
But WandaVision is that bridge between Phase 3 and Phase 4, which is a pretty creative way to do it, I guess. I'm still not a huge fan of having to subscribe to, the streaming service to find out on the shows what happens in the movies. I still think that's a very catfishy way to have people subscribe to your thing, but that's the life we live. That's how money works. So I fiscally I get it, but still think it's taking advantage of your fans. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I agree with you that's going to be a really hash out what Phase 4 is going to be. But I also thought Wonder Woman 84 was going to answer a lot of questions about what happens to the Snyderverse, and it answered none.
Yeah, because I remember
No questions.
like 2 years before the movie came out, and you were talking about I think this movie's going to give us all the answers, and I'm just like, I think it's just going to be a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, just wishful thinking, right?
Yeah.
Just so eager. I was so eager to want answers,
Yeah.
But either way, now the question is, are we going to get the Snyder Justice League full vision? But anyway,
we've already talked about that.
Well, we did, but we
can
didn't,
go back into
we
it
didn't
later.
mention one thing, and that was how Snyder said, Justice League 2 would actually be in the world of the Nightmare sequence.
Oh, yeah.
Which further plays into your theory that the Nightmare sequence is at the end, and that's the cliffhanger.
Yes, I can almost guarantee that,
that makes
something there
sense.
is going to be a cliffhanger.
That makes sense. Do you think they're going to do like a time jump, like 5 years later?
They'll probably have some sort of time jump, yeah, because I believe it will be reality by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just going to be another nightmare at that point. I think it'll probably be real life, in the movie world.
So we mentioned Spider-Man No Way Home. Also, that's also multiverse. Like you said, it's probably tied into Doctor Strange. You think is Spidey supposed to be in Doctor Strange?
We don't know. Probably not. But we don't know because they've said, I watched the video of Kevin Feige saying it, that Doctor Strange ties in to Spider-Man. How? I have no idea, because we know Doctor Strange is in it. Maybe that's it. What if that's it? It's just like, oh, Doctor Strange maybe mentions what he's going to do in Doctor Strange 2. Maybe it's as simple of a tie-in as that. I don't think it will be. I think we will definitely explore the multiverse in No Way Home.
This whole multiverse concept is the best way to give all these characters their villains that we haven't heard of before, but now they show up randomly. There's no real way to bring X-Men into the MCU unless they're from another dimension.
Yes.
There's no way to do it. I mean, I'm sure there is a way, but you'd have to start the story now, as opposed to a seasoned story that's taken 50, 60 years of oppression to build.
Yeah.
That's the problem with X-Men being in, just showing up in the MCU. There's an actual build up to why the X-Men are the X-Men and why they exist. But when it comes to like, Venom, for example, Venom actually being Spider-Man's, nemesis and having an all-out battle, but you haven't heard of Venom, nor did the Venom movie ever have any reference to Spider-Man. This tear in the multiverse where they can interchange between each other will fill that story gap and still give us the battle that we want. We'll still see Tom Hardy, Venom fighting Tom Holland, Spidey. But like they don't even have to be in the same fucking universe.
I want that movie to hurry up and, have anything. If they delay it again, give us a poster or something. Give us a look at something. If they delay it again.
We haven't gotten anything. That's the weirdest thing about this whole coronavirus bullshit is like Suicide Squad or The Suicide Squad, Venom, Ghostbusters. We haven't seen any more promotion for them. It's just done, cut. No, nothing.
I'm not surprised about that for Suicide Squad because that's now an HBO Max thing. Like they're doing the theater and HBO Max. Their track record, if you want to call it, so far with these releases have been to really start promoting it about 2 months before they come out. Because, we got the Snyder Cut trailer this month, and that's, about a month out. But you have the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. We got that in January. It's coming out in March. Like 2 months seems like a likely thing that they'll do. I hope they move it up because
it's still surprising.
It's done.
I mean, at one point in time before the world shut down,
we were getting movies a year and a half or trailers before a year and a half before movies would come out.
Yeah, teasers way before. Yeah, exactly. And now it's like just crickets. Like we hear nothing. Like as I said, The Suicide Squad. We still have only set photos and little glimpses of. Like, is there a teaser out for that?
No.
Or is it just like it was like in an HBO Max?
There's the HBO Max teasers that have like glimpses of it, and
it has glimpses of different projects, and that's part of that. Okay.
There's the video that reveals who's playing who, but there's no footage in that. It's just kind of like, oh, here's who's playing who, and here's the designs of the characters, but that's it. That was all the way back at Fandom, though. That was in August. But
well,
with Venom, last time they did delay it, we got a teaser kind of. They gave us a video which revealed the title, but that was it. And that was like, it was cool. It was like, oh yeah, well, at least you gave us something when you delayed it. You're not leaving us just completely empty-handed here. But now the movie, as of right now, is scheduled for June 25th, which, if it makes that date, my birthday's on the 24th. That'd be a cool pre-screening thing to do.
Yeah, you definitely have a summer blockbuster birthday. Like, we went and saw Transformers that came out on your birthday.
Yeah, that was cool. And it was the original date for the Batman was my I'm going to say it's my birthday, but pre-screening would be my birthday technically. Because the Batman was supposed to come out June 25th, 2021. And
pre-screening would have been 24th, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Venom still makes that date. We'll see, though, because we have nothing as of right now. Like,
it's so weird, all these movies being pushed back still.
Like,
I mean, I think HBO Max, kudos to them. Like, I think they're ballsy enough to do this, but at the same time, they're also kind of fumbling the way through it. So everyone else is sitting back seeing how HBO Max is handling this situation where they're releasing the streaming and theaters on the same day. And seeing how that works out, but I don't know. To me, that's the future. That's the future of movie going.
I don't know why I want to talk about Venom so bad right now.
Go ahead. Man.
It's just
we don't have an agenda here.
We have nothing. It's kind of upsetting because I'm one of the weirdos who actually likes Venom, and I don't.
Do you think Tom Holland's going to show up? Think they'll do a tease? I mean, we don't forget about Morpheus too.
Morbius.
Oh shit, Morbius. Yeah, not Morpheus. Yeah.
That it's been over a year since the Morbius trailer came out. You know, that's dated now for January 2022. Morbius is. And
that January date scares me. The fact
Yeah.
that it got a January date.
Me too.
That's the month movies go to die.
yeah, and they're still saying, like, just within the past 2 weeks, they're still saying, oh yeah, Venom is coming out on June 25th. But at first, at the beginning of COVID, I would, believe when they said that, because they'd be like, oh yeah, Black Widow, we're sticking to our May date, and then they didn't. And then they said that 3 more times, that they were sticking to a certain date and then moving it again. For any movie, they keep saying, oh yeah, we're doing this, we promise, this is when it's coming out, and then it doesn't. So I don't trust them, like, they're claiming that it's coming out June 25th, but I don't believe them.
Well, I mean, it's not really like they're trying to lie to anybody. They're being hopeful,
right.
But we've never lived in this world before. This is a whole new thing. We remember. I mean, it's almost the first anniversary when it was we're gonna just take 2 weeks and let the numbers go down.
Yeah,
and we're almost to that first March 13th, I believe, or 15th, or something like that, is when they did the whole month, or we're extending it to 2 weeks, then they extended it a month, and then like it turned into 3 months, and now here we are almost a year later, and we're just now starting to get out more.
Yeah,
it's hard to predict these things. It's hard to predict what to do. It's hard to predict. Well, yeah, we want this date. Well, yeah, you also wanted 3 others.
I think what I'm really trying to get at is a better way to word it would be like, we fully intend on giving it this date, but saying like, oh yeah, we're going to release it on June 25th, when realistically you don't know. Even they don't know, like there's no certainty here. Like,
yeah, I don't know how California's doing right now. Is California can people go anywhere in California yet?
I don't think so.
I think everyone's still moving out of that place because they're just shutting everything down.
I'm pretty sure none of their theaters are open. Nothing's really opened there, unfortunately. But New York is opening their theaters. That's a new thing. I think next month they're planning on opening their theaters. We've had our theaters open for a little bit, but I think both me and you haven't gone in over a year now since we saw Sonic and Birds of Prey.
Same day, yeah. That was a lot. Hey, what a way to go, huh? We went and saw 2 movies in one day, did a double feature.
Yeah, it was a good way to do it. With unknowingly that it would be our last time at the theater for a while. But it was cool, We got to see 2 movies, whether we loved both or hated both. We didn't. I liked Sonic, but it was still cool. It was still fun.
Yeah, but I'm still not opposed to not going to theaters. Like, listen, I enjoyed theaters, but I don't. There's always the X factor of what asshole is going to walk in and think he owns the place, who's going to cause a ruckus, what distraction's going to happen. Yeah, the big screen, we have a big screen here.
Yeah.
We have sound system here. We can do all the movie stuff here. No, we don't have, like a 2-story screen, but we do have a 200-inch screen and a projector. And we can actually do this in the backyard.
I think I love the experience of being with other people. Whether they're alive and like, reacting to everything or not. I like being there with a group, a bunch of people.
Yeah, I
like that feeling.
Community, that community feel, that there's something comforting about it. But still, at the same time, when we went and saw Child's Play, remember that fucking guy? Mm-hmm. Hey, he's fucking walking in, just like calling for his buddy.
Don't do it, Chucky.
Yeah,
screaming that whenever Chucky's about to kill someone.
Literally, like, copy and paste depiction of what the worst moviegoer to go to experience at a movie is. It's a horror movie, and he's literally yelling at the screen, "Don't do that! Don't go in there!" He's doing that whole fucking spiel, and his phone was on like full brightness, and he's sitting there looking at his phone like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" That's the shit I don't miss.
Yeah, but like
I've had somebody light a cigarette up in the theater before.
Really?
Yeah,
it's just. You see, I like theaters, but just one person can always ruin the experience for the entire, like, room.
You know what gets rid of that? Or not really gets rid of it, but becomes more acceptable and you can ignore it more? Drive-in theaters. Drive-in theaters are fucking awesome. I don't know why they're dead, and I hope this, if anything, this pandemic will bring them back.
There's a drive-in like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
My theater, my local theater was doing drive-ins outside.
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of. I mean, they were, but it's not the same. Like, not like a big, like, the drive-ins that I'm used to is a big open field. You go to a big field, you go into
I know what you mean, but
right, that in itself is a nice summer experience. And you're talking about they put it like a screen over the back wall of the mall, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, still, but I'm very aware that I'm just in a mall parking lot as opposed to just like an open field. It's like camping for moviegoers. That's the part I loved about drive-in theaters. But the thing is like, you can expect some sort of something to disrupt the movie. Not disrupt the movie, but like there's an ambient noise going on. There's an ambient, people are walking around, people are talking, but it doesn't take away from the movie because you expect it. You're not in a quiet room sitting there and like the littlest, bag opening is distracting. It's not like that. There's this ambient noise that you just kind of put out, and that's what I love about drive-in theaters, because the only thing I wish I could change about drive-in theaters is the sound. I wish, like, when you park into your spot, you had 2 big speakers or, like, a surround sound in your spot. Like, that if there's a way to do the sound better in a drive-in theater, I'm all for it. But what I'm used to is you click on your fucking radio.
Yeah.
And listen to it that way. Okay. Or you have the little speaker on the metal box, which is nothing but mono, output. So,
right.
But still, nonetheless, to me, that is just a fun way to experience a movie. That is more like that community feel that you like about going to a theater. It's just, I think, a more genuine version of that. You're actually around people. You're not stuck in a seat. You can see them. You can move around. You can walk around and still experience this movie that's playing on a giant screen in front of you. Yeah. So
I think
there's my rant about drive-in theaters.
the main thing I'm going to miss, and this is kind of in the sense of, being there with the crowd, but this type of crowd specifically, the most alive theater I've ever been in is when I saw Infinity War opening night. That was insane. Everyone was losing their minds, and it was fun. Usually I don't like loud theaters, but it gave good vibes when, like, something cool would happen on screen. The whole theater would start cheering and clapping and stuff like that. Like,
we had that same experience when we went and saw Civil War.
Yeah, we did. Civil War is a good example. And same with Endgame. Endgame wasn't as alive as Infinity War, oddly, but Infinity War, just everyone was freaking out.
It's a good fucking movie.
It is. It's a good movie, and there were a couple times during Endgame when people cheered and stuff, but people were cheering almost nonstop throughout Infinity War, like just all of it. The theater gasping when Thanos snapped, when Iron Man got stabbed, theater gasping. That was crazy. That was fun. But when Thor arrived in Wakanda, probably the loudest I've ever heard a theater be.
Hey, that's a good moment. That's a very, like, I'll tell you what, Ragnarok really breathed new life into the Thor character.
It did.
And not if you ask Durbin from the channel Durbania, he seems to not like that movie entirely, but yeah, and then that leading up to where he was in Infinity War, and that entrance was a badass Thor moment.
I think that's the loudest the theater got that night. Just basically everyone. I'm a giant nerd. If you guys don't know, if you guys can't tell, I'm a nerd. I like to nerd out about things.
Well,
and
you are your father's son, and we are in my spare bedroom where we have microphones hooked up and do podcasts about movies. So
true, but
a podcast called Full Frontal Nerdity.
Being in a theater where everyone was just as, if not more, of a nerd than I was, it made me feel feel good, being able to like cheer whenever I thought something was cool,
It's tribal. You're with your tribe there. I get that. And those are good moments. And I wish every theater experience was like that. Unfortunately it's not. But it's worth it when it is. Like when we went and saw Civil War.
That was a good one.
Or when we went and saw A Killing Joke. The theater wasn't like, outlandishly, a part of that. But it was crowded. We were there with friends, like good. And it was a very, like reserved movie. It was only out for like 3 days or something like that.
It was less than that. I think it only got 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah. And we got tickets for it,
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, those movie experiences are what I miss. The shit we dealt with Chucky.
I do not miss that.
I don't miss that. And we've had other experiences where people are just disruptive. They talk. Their phones are on. They have no sense of that they're disrupting a movie. They don't get it. Like I get. Okay, phones are a part of us now. They're just an extension of us. But turn the fucking brightness down. Who are these motherfuckers with this brightness all the way up? Like, what are you doing? How does that not blind you? I can't even keep my phone halfway lit. I keep it so dim all the time.
Your phone is oddly bright. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But
right now?
No, not right now. I just mean like just in general. When your phone is on, it's bright.
Is it really?
If it's up all the way.
Yeah. See, I got a little bit more than half right now.
Yeah, it gets bright though.
Well, I think I do that when I go outside. When I step outside, I turn the brightness up.
Yeah.
Typically, I like to keep my phone at about right there, maybe about half. But like full brightness, I can't do that shit.
Yeah,
that's so insane. Anyway,
but like the theater was like, it was. Not to sound over dramatic, but it was an escape. When I'm watching movies even at home,
escape from the tyranny of life.
Even when I'm watching movies at home, I sometimes, depending on how into the movie I am, I want to just check my phone. When I'm in a theater, I feel no urge to check my phone. It's just
right.
Not only does it feel just disrespectful, but it's just a different experience being there. And there's some movies that I'm hoping to see in theaters this year, but if not, then that's fine. I want to see. We already talked about it. I want to see the Suicide Squad. That one I think looks cool. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I really, again, what we talked about it. I would really like to see the Snyder cut on a big screen.
Yes, I'm hoping
mainly because of that IMAX ratio.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they did a BVS re-release, Ultimate Edition, please. But if they did a BVS re-release in theaters.
Oh, in theaters.
Yeah.
Of the IMAX.
Yeah. That would be cool. I'd totally be down to see BVS in theaters again.
Yeah, they did an Ultimate Edition release for like a week or something like that.
Yeah, it was very short. But there's been a couple times when I would marathon a movie in theaters. I say a couple times. I mean once. I saw all 3 Back to the Future movies in theaters on October 21st, 2015.
Nice.
That was cool. Cause
I wish I was there for that. I wasn't invited, though.
Sorry. But it was fun because our theater was doing... It wasn't our theater. It was like 50 minutes away. But our theater was doing like weekly classics. Like they'd play a classic for a week and they'd start it on Wednesday, play until the next Wednesday, and they'd start something new. And the week before the Back to the Future thing, they were showing Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I was invited, and I was like, why not? I'll go. And I'm not a huge fan of Monty Python, but I watched the movie and I was like, yeah, it's still cool to see a classic movie in theaters. And we were walking out and they had the poster that they're showing Back to the Future next week, and I'm like, can we go to that? And they were like, there's 3 movies. It starts at 8:00, and like I was like, what, 11 years old?
Like 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. They were like, there's like 3 movies. Each one is 2 hours. It starts at 8 o'clock. Like, no, you can't go. You have school the next day because it was a Wednesday night. And I was like, please. And they were like, and then 2 other people that I was with were like, you know what? Yeah, I want to go too. And then it was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And then we did. It was fun. But it was weird because the first movie, the theater was packed for the first Back to the Future movie. And then when the second one started, basically half the theater had left. But then by the time the third one was there, it was like us and a few people that were like kind of just sitting around. Like most people were there to see the first one. Yeah. But we stuck around for all 3. And
see, if I were to leave, I would have left by the third one.
I like the third one. I like the third one more than the second
I like the third one, but it's my least favorite of the trilogy.
My least favorite is part 2.
Well, yeah, that's because you have no sense of culture, but that's fine.
Back to the first one's still the best one.
I actually, it's like BVS and Man of Steel. Like, my opinion of which Back to the Future is best depends on which one I'm watching at that moment, but it's never the third one.
The third one's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. I like theaters. If you can't tell, I like theaters, and
yeah, I mean, I miss them, but I don't.
Yeah,
you know, if it's done anything, it's made me want to get a bigger TV for my living room. You know, I want to go. I say 65, but I'd like to go 75.
I know. When our theaters first opened, they were showing mostly classic movies because they had like nothing else to show. Nothing new was coming out. And they were showing like The Goonies, Jaws, Ghostbusters.
Great movies to go see in theater.
They even just back in October, they were showing Nightmare Before Christmas and Beetlejuice and you know, all these classic Halloween movies. And I don't know. I like seeing classic movies. I would love to see
Freddy Krueger on the big screen. You know,
they were showing it a few years ago. We didn't get to go. And they were also showing Terminator 2.
See, that's the thing. That's a great thing about movie theaters doing that. I think that's a great thing movie theaters should do, you know, consistently. I think more movie theaters are actually adopting that, you know, that concept. But I think, you know, you got these independent theaters that do that very well, like the Gateway Film Center in Columbus. You know, they're the ones that show a lot of these things. Gremlins, you know, like all these old school movies that, you know, they're just constantly showing. That's where we saw Civil War.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I do miss theaters. I do, but I don't miss them that bad. Because it was always a crapshoot. Am I going to have a good experience or am I not? We're just going to roll the dice. You know, for the most part, I enjoyed movies, but I'm always like that person, like the slightest disruption, like I get distracted, you know, and I'll be like, well, that person's eating popcorn. Okay. It's a quiet part of the movie, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I refuse to see A Quiet Place in theaters.
I saw that on the last day it was playing.
That sounded terrible to me. To go see this movie that has almost no sound. Well, it has sound, but you know, it's just nobody's talking. There's no dialogue for a majority of the film. All I could think about was just like hearing people like dig into their popcorn buckets and their candy bags and the crunching and the slurping of the, you know, the soda. It sounded fucking terrible.
I remember there was, I'm remembering now, there was another double feature I did that it wasn't like Sonic and, you know, Birds of Prey where it was like 2 random movies. It was there was a theater that was playing Zombieland 2 like early, like, you know, usually you have the day it comes out and then there's the pre-screening. We got it the day before the pre-screening and they were offering both Zombieland movies back to back. And that was fun because, you know, I like the first one a lot. First one's definitely better than the second one, but it was just, it was fun.
It was seen the second one.
It's fine. It was a crowded theater and, you know, the first one started randomly. I figured they would like play the trailers before both of them and then have like a 30-minute intermission. That's not at all how they did it. They kind of just started the first one out of nowhere. And then, you know, we finished it. And then there was an hour and 45-minute intermission. You could have watched the first one again. because when we saw Back to the Future, there was 30-minute intermission between each movie, which is reasonable. But an hour and 45 minutes for two movies that are just like an hour and a half long is like a little ridiculous.
That's probably what they did. They probably showed it again to a different crowd. You know, and then you guys left to watch your second one. That crowd's taking off and doing their 4-hour, 45-minute break. You're done with the second movie. They come in to watch their second movie. That's probably how they did that. Just staggered in the crowd. I mean, essentially, you're making double the money, you know, by doing that. But
we
an hour.
Sat there the whole time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like I think we
You sat there for an hour and 45 minutes.
We got up to like stretch our legs and stuff, but they weren't like kicking us out or anything.
Oh, okay.
They were like, I don't know why it had no reason to actually be an hour and 45-minute intermission.
If they weren't doing that, then that doesn't make sense.
We were thinking, maybe 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. We were betting at the most 45 minutes, but no, hour and 45-minute intermission. And then they played the trailers. And then they played the second one. I thought that was weird. But
well, all right. So we've talked about Spider-Man, talked about Superman, WandaVision, and the possible cameo. And then there's the Snyder Cut cameo.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I'm still willing to bet it's a Green Lantern.
It just seems like low-hanging fruit to me. Like, it seems like that's the obvious choice of what a cameo is, and it's not it's a big cameo. Okay, but like, we already knew that Green Lantern was supposed to be in this movie. I'm like, to me, Green Lantern being in the Snyder Cut is more of an expectation than a new event. But I saw that Dave Bautista. Is that how you say it?
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, possibly showing up as Bane. I think that would be a good idea. I like that concept.
Black Canary. Just throwing it out there.
Black Canary. Hawkman. Since he's already casted in Shazaam, but
Black Adam, but yeah, same thing.
No,
not really.
Whatever, either one. So I don't know. I just randomly thought of that. I think. Is there anything else you want to go over?
I
here?
have nothing specific to talk about. No.
I think I'm gonna call it on this podcast. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Stevie Cade.
I'm Seth Draven.
And we are Film Trigger. Join us hopefully next weekend. I do have a show Saturday. All right. Maybe we can, if you come over, we can do it Friday or whatever. Yep. Anyway, we'll discuss that off the air.
Yeah.
Stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.